I'm John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and this is Mail Call Mondays, the show that answers your questions about precision rifles, optics, and equipment. Welcome back to another Mail Call Mondays, and in an effort to get this Mail Call Mondays out actually on a decent schedule, we're going to kind of cut it short today, and we're only going to take 4 questions. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And our first question comes from Christopher, and Christopher asks, in which order do you prioritize your importance and therefore your money of precision rifle build components? I've heard it best to decide on a cartridge that suits your needs, then get the best glass optics you can afford to support your full range of shooting needs. The rifle itself is the third step, the barreled action being most important. Is this a good philosophy, or is it better to get a package deal rifle and slap some department store glass on it and hit the range and upgrade over time? Well, Christopher, that's a really good question, and the thing is, there is not really any right answer for that. What you really need to do before you start spending money on anything is you need to sit down and try to decide what your long-term goal is. What kind of shooting sports you're going to engage in. Are you going to try to make one rifle be the rifle for all the different disciplines? Or, if you're only going to shoot one type of shooting sport, then it makes it a little bit easier because you can obviously tailor the rifle to the rules of that specific game and the advantages of that game. But you really need to have a plan before you start dropping cash, because if you're in one of those kind of areas where maybe you don't really know what it is you want to do, you're a beginner to the actual long rifle game, then it may be a good idea just to go ahead and buy a more budget-oriented rifle, put glass that is sufficient enough to get you to the range, get you shooting, and get you learning. And then as you find deficiencies in that equipment, or as your skill overcomes the ability of the equipment, or overtakes the ability of the equipment, then upgrade it as necessary. That can be a very beneficial way to go, because then you don't end up buying things that you don't need. However, if you've been shooting for a good while and then you decide that you need to upgrade from a previous platform, or you're starting a new project, then really, again, you don't have any start from A and you're going to end at Z kind of thing. Decide exactly what it is you want. If you are going to build a new, say you're starting your second or third year in PRS shooting, and you're going to build a new platform that is specifically for that type of thing, then sit down and, of course, decide what bullet you want to shoot. That's really the key thing. What bullet comes first? Then you need to decide on what cartridge you need to support that bullet, because the bullet is what does the work. Everything else is designed to send that bullet down range. So decide on your bullet, then decide on the cartridge that you want to be able to shoot that bullet. Now, when you have a bullet and a cartridge, now you can decide on a chamber that will support that bullet and cartridge. Then after that, it's deciding on a barrel and action that will house that cartridge within your budget, because those are all over the place. I mean, if you decide, say for instance, 140 grain Burger Hybrid is the bullet you want to shoot, well, you can shoot that in a 260, you can shoot in a 6.5 Creedmoor. There are a variety of other cartridges you can shoot that in and keep it in the velocity range that you need for the game. Well then, if you're talking 260, 6.5 Creedmoor, etc., you can house it in a factory Remington, you can put it in an Accuracy International, you can put it in a wide variety of custom actions that are out there. So that's going to be in your budget range and what you prefer as a shooter. So then once you've decided your cartridge, your action, your barrel that you're going to need, the twist rate and the length to support the bullet and the velocity that you're going to want, then I would say it's time to decide on what chassis or what stock you're going to put the whole system into, because again, that's going to be very, very heavily based on personal preference. Some people like fiberglass stocks, some people like chassis systems. If you are not going to have to switch around the system for a variety of different shooters or different clothing types, then you can get away with a chassis that has either tooled adjustments or that doesn't have adjustments on it and get it set up specifically to you to begin with. If you're going to need to share it with a partner or another family member, then you may want to go with quick adjustable setups. So really the chassis and stock thing is gonna be really based on personal preference and your individual needs. Then optics, I think, are probably going to be kind of the last thing. Optics are a fairly simple choice because we have tons of data out there right now on what is working well in the precision rifle shooting arena, and generally a 3 to 15, maybe 5 to 20 power magnification range works great. You absolutely want first focal plane because it gives you a very wide variety of options on what magnification you're going to use for a specific shooting problem. It's not to say that second focal plane can't be made to work, because it can. It's just a little bit more limiting for you. And I recommend mill-based reticle, mill-based turrets. Beyond that, though, huge variety of stuff that you can use. But Night Force, Bushnell, Collis, Vortex, those are all kind of leading the push on the Precision Rifle Series type matches. So after you've got the core rifle set up and the optics, that's when you decide on bipods, support gear, all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of the way that I see it. Now, that is not, again, a set in stone. That's not the right or wrong way to do it. That's just kind of the way that I would go about it, building a new rifle with an experienced shooter. Again, if you are not an experienced shooter, it's difficult for you to tell what is going to work for you, what you're going to like. For the beginning shooter, I've gone back and forth on cartridge to start with. It used to be I would recommend starting with a 308. If you know you are going to be a high volume shooter, meaning you're going to go out to the range and you're going to maybe bust out 100 to 200 rounds a week, then a 308 may still be a good choice for you if you are not going to compete with it, or if you're only going to compete in limited matches. If you have the intent to go out and shoot a high volume, but then compete with that same platform, then you may want to look at something like the 6.5 Creedmoor or 260. If you don't reload, 6.5 Creedmoor is the easy solution. If you don't want to reload, but you want to shoot something a little bit more niche, then you can look at stuff like, for instance, 260 Remington is factory available, but not really in match ammunition. But you have companies like Copper Creek Cartridge Company, which can custom load whatever you need. So if you come up with a cartridge, or if you have a rifle that you need a cartridge developed for, Copper Creek can take care of that for you, and you don't have to worry about the reloading or the cartridge development or any of that stuff. So that may factor into it. But 308, you get really good barrel life. You just don't get the performance that you need to be competitive in the open classes in precision rifle competition. 308, though, if you want to keep to limited matches, or you really don't care about actually winning the match, you just want to go out and have fun and enjoy the process, then 308 is still a great option. I don't foresee a time when I won't have 308s in the safe just to go out and have fun with at the range. But there are a variety of options out there now that can get the beginning shooter out there and still be competitive without having to have all the extra hand loading or knowledge, or have all the hand loading tools. This rifle in front of me, this is a 308. So you can still have a lot of fun with 308s, and if you shoot in limited matches, they're still a blast. Obviously, 308 is competitive in limited because you're usually only shooting 223 or 308. So that's my opinion on how to go about kind of planning a build. Our next question comes from Austin, and Austin asks, anything I can do to improve the point of impact shift on my 6.5 Ruger precision rifle while running a can? Different barrel contour? The shift is significantly more on this rifle than any other I own. It's a 10-inch plus shift at 100 yards versus 0 to 1-inch shift at 100 yards. Well, Austin, the first thing I would say is be very careful and look at the front of that can and make sure you're not getting any kind of baffle strikes. A 10-inch shift at 100 yards is a pretty significant shift. It's possible that you may be getting just a very, very slight kiss on that last baffle that's causing the bullet to come off to one side or the other. Beyond that, if you're not seeing anything that looks like a baffle strike in that can, I would say you need to take that rifle to a smith that can throw the barrel in a lathe and that they can check the threads at the end of the barrel. It's very possible that that barrel threading may be off just slightly. That muzzle may not be as true as it can be, and that's getting you just a very, very slight shift in the can when you're putting that can on. Also, of course, make sure that if you're using a quick attach mount or any kind of mount that the suppressor is attaching to, you want to make sure that you are not using crush washers with that. Either use shims that it came with, or take the rifle and take the mount to a gunsmith that can time it correctly. If you're trying to use crush washers, those crush washers can cause a little bit of shift in that mount and can cause you big problems later on. But I would definitely check the threading. My bet is that those factory tolerances are just enough that it's just slightly off, and it's probably causing you that very large shift. Now, as far as what you can do to prevent that shift, if you're wanting to replace the barrel, heavier contours and shorter barrels tend to demonstrate less of a shift. They seem to be less sensitive to the harmonic change of hanging a suppressor on the end. And of course, putting weight on the end of a heavier barrel is going to give you less deviation than putting weight on the end of a light barrel. So those are some options when you're looking at. Other than that, there's just a ton of things that compound when you attach a suppressor on the end of a rifle that can contribute to the point impact shift. But again, take it to a competent gunsmith and have them put the barrel in a lathe and check to see how true that threading is. They may need to cut off that threaded muzzle and rethread it and thread it to a high degree of precision so that your suppressor will mount and be absolutely true to the axis of the bore. Our next question comes from Paul, and Paul asks, how's the McMillan A3 doing since you have bet it? Any noticeable gains in accuracy? Well, Paul, this is the McMillan A3-5 sitting here in front of me, and we did have Southern Indiana Precision bed the rifle. And looking at the accuracy difference between this barreled action in the KRG Whiskey 3 versus this barreled action in the McMillan chassis, or McMillan stock, versus bedded into the McMillan stock, the accuracy difference is almost imperceptible. It's really within my ability to shoot the rifle. I'm maybe a half MOA to 1/3 MOA shooter on my best day. If I get a good 1/4 inch group at 100 yards, then I'm ecstatic. So this rifle bedded into the stock will shoot within what my accuracy potential is. So really, what I expected to gain from bedding was not an accuracy increase, it was a consistency increase. I'm less worried about any kind of cold bore shift. I'm less worried about banging the rifle around and having that action shift just very slightly inside the stock. And I think that's one of the things that bedding gives you, is it just gives you a little bit better grip between the stock and between the barreled action. So to answer your question, we have not really seen an accuracy increase, but we didn't expect to see a great accuracy increase in the short term between the unbedded McMillan and the bedded McMillan. McMillan does a very, very good job of cutting that inlet really, really accurately inside the stock. So it was pretty much good to go when we received it and when we dropped this action in. And our last question today comes from Tim, and Tim asks, review on Magpul's Hunter chassis stock. Well, Tim, right here, as I reach down here on the floor, we have the Magpul Hunter 700. This is actually the action that we are planning on putting into it. So right now it's occupied. It will be going into that probably this week. We just got tied up with stuff with SHOT Show, and then of course with getting videos out once we got back. But now that we are pretty much done with this, and we should have one more video coming out with the McMillan talking about the difference between the pre-bedded and post-bedded. So we'll have that soon. Then we drop it into the Hunter 700, and we're going to test Magpul's new magazine system and the Hunter 700 in the rifle. I don't expect any issues, but some of you guys have talked about you've had some issues with mag length cartridges not feeding well, getting hung up under the front lip of the Remington receiver. So we'll check that out. Now, bear in mind that the system was really designed for factory ammunition, so it's designed for SAMI spec ammo. If you are pushing the length on that magazine system, then you may run into some issues on it, but we'll check it out and we'll see. So that is coming up. Also, I've got this guy sitting in front of me here. Bushnell was kind enough to send us out the new Connex system, and this is the complete kit with the Connex and the Kestrel Sportsman, and we will be doing an unboxing on this here really soon, and we'll show you what all comes in the kit, and we'll talk about the initial setup, and then we're going to get it out to the range and we will do some field testing on it and see how well the Connex system works in the field. Really, I'm hoping this is going to be a one-stop shop for your ballistic solution. You should be able to purchase this kit, throw some batteries in it, take it out, punch your gun information into it, and then be able to laser and shoot pretty much anything that was within the range of the laser rangefinder. And this is advertised to 1 mile. So if you're shooting a short action cartridge, a 260, 6.5 Creed, something of that nature, this really should be able to get you out to the effective range of that rifle. So we're really anxious to get that out and test that out. And thanks very much to Bushnell for sending this out to us. I can't wait to get out and play with it. We also have a brand new Kestrel in. Those of you guys that have been watching our feed have seen that we have the new Elite 5700 with the Applied Ballistics engine in it. We took that out and we used it to shoot a local match the last weekend of the month, and it worked fantastically. Really, between the integration between the iPhone and that Kestrel, it makes it so much easier to get your ballistics queued up, get your target ranges plugged in, and get the information that you need out of it without having to fiddle with little buttons on the front of the Kestrel. So we'll be going into depth on that here really soon. So make sure you stay tuned. We got a lot of really good stuff coming up. Thank you guys for posting your questions on our Facebook page. A little bit of administrative stuff. We have been getting requests on an easier way to submit questions for the show, because a lot of you guys that watch the show don't have a Facebook account, and we really don't have a consolidated location for people that don't use Facebook or people that are just on YouTube. We don't have a consolidated way for them to submit questions. So we're working on that. If you guys have any suggestions on the best way to do that, please go ahead and post it in the comments section below. I'm always open to feedback on how we can better communicate with you guys, because really you are the whole reason that we do this show. Communication with you is key on keeping the show running and making it better. So please give us your suggestions on how we can better take questions to be able to get out here on the show. Also, patches. We do have patches in stock. We're going to be getting those up on a PayPal store, and we'll get them out so you guys can purchase them. We will probably also have a non-PayPal option for those of you guys that don't want to use your credit card and just want to send in a check. But PayPal is really the easiest and more streamlined way for us to do this, because I can print shipping labels, I can print all that stuff out straight through PayPal, and it lets us get them out really quickly to you. But we have a really limited run of these patches right now, so when we get them out and get them on the store, make sure you don't wait. Get yours when you can, because they will run out really quickly, and I don't know how long it will take us before we can get another run in. So that's it on the administrative front. Again, I want to thank you guys for keeping us running. We are in our 5th season now, and when I originally started this, I never would have believed that you guys would want to see our show for 5 years straight. and our audience keeps growing every year. We are well past 5 million views. We're over 50,000 subscribers. So you guys are absolutely fantastic in helping us grow and helping us approach manufacturers to get product to review, because without you, without our audience, we would never be able to do this. So thank you very much. And for those of you guys that have helped support us through our donations, thank you for that as well. Well, that's all we have for this Mail Call Mondays. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or send them to us on Facebook or Twitter. And until next time, get out and shoot.